Hello and welcome to the Weekend Spread, the Schooners Pod's weekly college football pick show. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and Boaton Blake. Boys, what a slide from greatness for me. I am sitting not just last, but like pretty deep last. Things aren't going good. All of y'all went 5-5. I went 3-7. What a brutal week. Just everything was looking great at the start. We had that really good West Virginia cover, and then it all just fell apart at the 2:30 games. Just
stop saying we. I don't care that I went 500. Bobby falling into a pit is not a bad thing for the we right here. We are very happy. We are smiling to see Bobby right last.
To paint a picture, Bobby was talking so much trash after that West Virginia cover that Bobby finally gets rid of his curse of being able to pick a weekday game, only to then completely blow it on Saturday.
Only Michigan and Iowa State were his picks. Woof.
And here's
in Bobby's defense for the West Virginia game, way too early on in that one, I just started poking him because he was on an island on it. And I think I may have jinxed us. This is a we situation here because I started poking the Bobby Bear, and that's why he started talking so much crap after West Virginia came back and covered that one. But yeah, abysmal weekend for Bobby. But I've been down here in the 500 mud the whole time, and now Jameson and Blake are down here with me.
Look, I'll say this: the only bad losses for me were Alabama and then NC State. The Island Boy on the NC State was really unfortunate. I regretted it immediately. Should have called my mulligan. But, Kansas wasn't that bad. TCU was a bit of a bad beat. And then Utah was a bit of a bad beat as well. So
I hope you remember that when you're doing the 999, when you're throwing up hot dogs and beer at a baseball game. I want you to remember the losses weren't that bad. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, what is that meme that's always going around? It's like, I'm a really good bettor. It's just the teams are bad.
Well,
quality losses. Yeah.
No lies there. So yeah,
Bobby's leading the clubhouse with quality losses for sure.
I'm doing my best, but Blake. So I gotta ask you. Obviously, you're a big TCU guy. What about that win? What a massive dub for your Frogs. They didn't get the cover, which I'm a little pissed at them for. But what a big win.
Yeah, I was not thinking about the cover there. I dropped to my knees I was like in tears. I could not believe the game I thought was over going into the fourth, where it felt like our defense was playing well in the second half, but we just could never inch forward. And then watching the last 10 minutes of that game plus overtime, it's just pure magic. It's why I love the Frogs so much. They always find themselves in weird wins like this, but it gives you some of the best sports moments of your entire life. It looks so bad in the first half, and to get that sweet win, I hope the Field Stormans keep coming. If we beat Kansas State, do it again. Pay the $50,000 again. I love it. Keep the mojo up in Fort Worth, and I don't know, it's feeling like 2014 again, which is good and bad in many ways. But
rushing the field against K-State would be a bit too much, though. At some point, you gotta stop rushing the field. You're the best team in the Big 12. Stop rushing the field. You're gonna rush the field against Iowa State?
That's becoming our tradition. Yeah, or no, probably not. Or actually, yes, because Iowa State is not that bad, as we saw on Saturday. They aren't that bad. I've been telling y'all all year long. Iowa State isn't that bad. I almost faded, but I knew. I stuck to my guns.
Iowa State is the me of the Big 12. They always get close to winning, but never do, and their record looks like garbage, but they're actually sneaky good. But then again, they're just bad because they keep losing. So, Jameson, any big observations on what was truly a bit of a shake-up Saturday?
Hey, Blake, I'm still smirking because let me tell you something. Exactly what I said was going to happen in that OU Kansas game pretty much happened. What did I say about Jason Bean? Y'all know, I'm a big Jason Bean supporter. I have been for years. But guess what? I just been watching him closer than everybody, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew that he had some talent. He's going to make some passes, but he's going to make mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions. That's the reason OU covered, baby. And I knew it. I knew it was coming from a long time. And you thought that I was playing some alternative game. No, man, I just knew him a little bit better than you.
No, we were so close to getting that cover. If we would have locked the lines on Saturday, it would have been Cover City. What?
That was
10
more
points. 10 points.
But that was more of a
Okay, it was a
backdoor.
one
Would have
point.
been,
push?
would have been a push.
Would have been a backdoor.
yes.
A push is not
had
cover
that.
city. You cannot say it would have been cover city when it would have been a push. That is absurd.
Or cover
That
city
is, by
on this
definition,
podcast.
not a cover.
Yeah,
still,
but we caught pushes are covers here. So.
Backdoor isn't cover city. It's, oh my god, we backdoored. That's not a city. That's barely a township.
A backdoor push. You just referred to a backdoor push
as cover city.
Yep, it would have been cover city on this podcast. That's all I gotta say.
Oh,
we got some bad numbers. That's all I'm gonna chalk that one up to.
By the way, according to an actual DM I got, I believe the listeners have noticed that Jameson apparently owns rent in your head, Blake.
No, he
It's
doesn't. I just gotta
100%.
call him
Damn
on
right
his
I do.
BS. He just always is
There's
trying to
no
mess
BS.
with people, and so I gotta bring people's attention to it. Like, Jameson's thing always is just screwing with everybody. He tries to be, like, the puppeteer, but everybody knows
don't
he's being
put
the
that into the
puppeteer,
atmosphere.
so, like, it doesn't even work, but I have to call it out so people don't fall into his lies.
You seem a little upset there, man.
I'm
I
not
don't
upset.
know.
I'm just passionate.
All right. Ty, any final thoughts before we dive into the slate?
Yeah, all I have to say is, Bobby, I think we're going to have to give you a new name after this past week. We're going to have to start calling you Buki the way you be fumbling the picks.
Ow, that hurts. That's locker. That is like locker room bulletin board material. I'm ready. I'm going to turn this thing around this week. So let's get started with our first pick of the week. All lines presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. The Syracuse Orange heading to Clemson, South Carolina. The Tigers favored by 13.5. They just keep rolling around, keep getting wins. I not pretty, but you know what? They're undefeated. So Jameson, as the current leader of the board, you'll start, then Blake, then Ty, and then me bringing up the poop deck. But the Orange looked good. I was the island boy against them, but they looked good. Got a big win against NC State last week. Do you think their show could travel on the road outside of the not Carrier Dome?
Yeah, I mean, they did all right, but that NC State team without Leary is just nothing. And we already saw that they had a lot of cracks in that team. Whenever you take away their best player, arguably, and like their cornerstone of a quarterback, everything just kind of went falling down. Clemson, on the other hand, is starting to put it together. If it wasn't for some 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in that Florida State game, they were beating them by 20. So I'm going Clemson, win by 2 touchdowns. I'm just not buying the Syracuse hype after an NC State win that I just don't think is that good.
Like,
Yeah, I'm with Jameson here. I think the Syracuse story is awesome. Like, if you're a Syracuse fan, you must be really happy because it's like you don't expect this team to, like, they weren't even projected, I think, to even be bowl eligible, and they've already reached that 6-0. That's great, but Jameson did highlight it. They haven't played anybody. Like, Syracuse best win came probably versus Purdue, which a game they almost bobbled, and then NC State, which is a good defense, but without Devin Leary. I just don't think, like, looking at their schedule, Purdue was the only elite passing offense that they faced, and Purdue ripped them apart. They threw for over 400 yards. DJU is surprisingly pretty good this year, and just we see this all the time in the ACC, kind of upstart team goes up against Clemson, and you're like, oh, maybe they could beat them. Like, nope, it's Clemson dominates this conference. We saw their down year last year. Give me the 13.5.
Ty?
Yeah, real quick, I'm surprised that Blake is down on Purdue. Purdue is a team that Blake seemingly would love. They're keeping it close with everyone. They're sort of the Iowa State of the whatever conference Purdue is in. So I will not allow for Purdue slander, but I will have to echo what my previous 2 colleagues have said in taking Clemson in this one. I think DJU jokes aside, those are getting increasingly dated. Is he living up to his hype that he came in with? Still no, but he is vastly, vastly improved. And this Clemson team is just a fundamental team, fundamental program. You know, they lost Brent Venables, and it didn't seem to really be that big of a blow. Obviously, those things can sort of snowball as the years go on. But Dabo has built a fundamentally good program over there, and I think that it is worth 2 touchdowns on this Syracuse team that is admittedly performing very well for a Syracuse team. But I think Blake said, you know, it's the typical ACC Cinderella story. Clemson is the big dogs. So give me Clemson minus 13.5.
Yeah, this is tricky because I feel like Clemson definitely is the better team here, and I mean, absolutely they are. However, I feel like I don't know, they haven't been really, I don't know, covering in spades. So I kind of like Syracuse to keep it close. I, and
Good.
I no. I'm not doing Island Boy for Island Boy's sake. I
Yes.
feel like
Do it.
13.5
Do
is
it.
just a lot for Clemson to cover here.
Yes.
They aren't blowing teams out. I kind of like them here. I like Syracuse to get the cover. And I might be digging myself a deeper hole. I get it, but this Clemson team to me, they win dirty, they win gritty, and 13.5 just it seems a little much. I know Syracuse hasn't been great against good teams, bad teams, whatever. I feel like they're just good enough to keep it close. So give me the orange to cover 13.5. So yeah, that's the pick. I guess I'm on an island again. I hate
Makes
it.
sense. It makes sense strategy wise if you're at the
Well,
bottom.
I hate the ACC too, but anyways, let's move on to, I guess, College Game Day's game of the week. We have the UCLA Bruins traveling to Autzen Stadium, where the Ducks are favored by 6. Oregon, obviously had a really rough start against Georgia, but have, kind of responded. Bo Nix has been good. And UCLA has kind of been the darling of the Pac-12 so far this year. DTR has been making a difference and, really kind of busting my ass every single time they show up on this slate. I get them wrong. So I'll go ahead and start. And you know what? I'm going to zag here. And I know this line is pretty favored and, obviously Oregon's favored. I'm going to zag and go UCLA here. I feel like the Ducks they're good, but I feel like this is a really evenly matched game. Obviously, Autzen will be a pretty good environment and everything, but I feel like UCLA and DTR, a seasoned vet, 5 years. We literally saw him on the first year of the Schooner Pod. I think he and the Bruins are good enough to keep this close, maybe get a win. So give me UCLA +6 on the road.
I love how Bobby said, I'm going to zag here when literally nobody has even had the chance to zig.
I'm zagging.
There is no way.
Zagging from Vegas.
He's trying to
How?
reverse.
Bobby,
Okay, fair enough,
pick
fair enough,
is
fair
a
enough.
50-50 on both sides.
Fair enough.
Vegas isn't taking you on the other side.
Okay,
I think
whatever.
what he's saying
I
is
know.
the
he's-
Oregon
he
-6
was saying-
is -115 on DraftKings versus -105 for UCLA. So
Thank
I'm
you.
guessing that there's more money on Oregon, so they're kind of beefing up that line. I think maybe that's what he's going for, but
Well,
I'm giving him
that
a
is
lot of
what
the
I'm
benefit of
saying.
the doubt.
Didn't
That
you
is what
just
I'm
pick
saying.
UCLA outright though?
Well,
think
that
they're gonna
doesn't
win,
count
or
as a
they're
real
gonna-
pick. I think they're
No, but I'm saying if you're taking them
Hold him to it.
outright,
I'm
then you're absolutely.
I'm kind of thinking UCLA outright here, but that
that's
doesn't count as the
absolutely
pick.
a zag.
Then
That's
yeah, it is
absolutely
a zag.
for Vegas. Yeah, if the Ducks are the favorite, Bobby's saying no, the other team's going to win. I know Blake needs to look up that. Blake has a big problem with the definition of words. He doesn't understand them. He doesn't understand that words have meanings. He doesn't understand what the word hedge means. We've established that.
No,
earlier.
you just say, anytime I say any statement, like I'm like, oh, UCLA's going to win this game. You're like, a hedge. And I'm like, what?
That's
I'm
not
saying
no.
I'm saying a very
Specifically-
factual statement.
Specifically in context, you were saying how you hoped that the Big 12 would sign a deal with FS1, a third-tier network, ahead of a deal. That is a textbook emotional hedge.
How?
You're over here.
That's
you're looking
literally
at
what
all
we
these
have
other
now.
networks,
It's not
all
going to
these
get
other
better.
deals. That's a hedge. That in and of itself,
How?
you're refusing
Okay,
to
moving
allow
on.
yourself to hope for better. Anyways, The Sopranos, right? Anyone who's seen it, Tony Soprano, he loves the ducks. He had ducks in his pond early on. It may have even been episode 1. And he saw the ducks early in the first season. Guess what? He spent the whole rest of the series looking for the ducks. Everything else, all the mafia stuff, all the pasta they eat, everything else, that's all a sideshow, right? The main story arc is Tony Soprano looking for the ducks. That's going to be anyone that picks the ducks in this one. And I say this as a Ducks, not a fan, but a sympathizer. UCLA, this is their game. UCLA is the best team in the Pac-12 right now. UCLA has the best quarterback in the Pac-12. Don't believe me? Look at the stats. DTR is going to carry this UCLA team to at least within 6 points of this game. I don't know if UCLA is going to win it outright, but I very much echo Bobby's zig or his zag, whatever he's done. Give me the Bruins in this one. Best team in the Pac-12, best team in LA, best team in the Coliseum, which is a city-owned park Doesn't belong to anyone, so it's up for grabs. Give me the Bruins +6.
Fair enough. Blake, who you got?
I am zagging because I am going with the Ducks. UCLA has been really impressive this year, and I could definitely see this being a close game. Like DTR and Zach Charbonnet, that has been a dynamic duo. But Oregon has been really good against the run this year, and especially I go back, a game they almost lost, but a game that they were able to claw back in versus Washington State. They took a guy like Cam Ward, very dynamic, dual threat, and was able to take him out of the game, made him beat him through the air. And I just think UCLA is too one-dimensional for an Oregon team that, since we saw them get embarrassed by Georgia. Like, that happened, but ever since then, they've honestly been playing pretty good ball. And I just think UCLA is way too one-dimensional. I think Bo Nix has been a better quarterback in the Pac-12 than DTR, has more rush yards and more passing yards. Bo Nix at home is just something that has always been elite. He can't travel on the road, but he can play at home. I like the mojo there. I keep on fading the Ducks every single time and get burned. And the one time I did back them, I think versus UGA, they burned me. But I'm riding the Ducks this weekend. Go Oregon.
Blake, I know we don't do sidebars on comments, but I saw one that we just have to put up. T. Huber put up TCU's uniforms the last weekend were the worst we've ever seen. Blood frogs are gross. Carrie H. Probably should put that one down. Hey, it's just a medical term. But yeah, it's gross.
They were rated the number of, according to Uniswag, at Uniswag last year, the best uniforms in college football. So...
Okay,
the Emperor Zergs, you can't deny their ability. 3-0 versus
sauces.
top 15 teams. So
fair enough. He's got sauces. Jameson, who do you like in this game?
I'm gonna hop on UCLA, and I'm not gonna be a part of the Bo Nix experience. The Bo Nix experience is a fun one, but it is stressful, and I just don't want to be a part of that. And I understand, Blake, what he's talking about. They stopped the run game versus Washington State, but still, you know how many points they put up? Oregon gave up in that game? 41. Like, I understand we can talk about Oregon's defense and say, I'm impressed with them, but they're still giving up 40-plus points. So I'm just not buying that argument too much. I don't believe in this pick too much. It's not one I feel very confident in, but I'm going to go with UCLA +6 here to keep it close and not win.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, moving on to our next game. We've got the Mississippi State Bulldogs and Mike Leach heading to Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide, who are licking their wounds after a massive win from Tennessee last week. The Tide favored by 21. Jameson, do you expect Alabama, Nick Saban, and the crew to not just win, but win big in response to their loss last week on Rocky Top?
I'm with Blake on this one. How dare Bobby making us pick this pick? A 21-point SEC spread. That's gross. We had Hawaii, Colorado State on this slate, and we could have easily done that, and it would have been a lot of fun. And we're going to have to pick this game. And I'm just going to pick Alabama.
Do we want to pivot? Do we want to pivot?
Analysis on that.
I'm down to pivot. Show of hands right now.
Do we pivot? Because I know in pivoting, we're taking Jameson's wild card and throwing him a wild card. I say we pivot.
A raise of hand, pivot.
Sure, let's
we're pivoting. Screw this game. We're gonna get to that at the end of it. Let's move on to the next game. We've got Ole Miss traveling to Baton Rouge to take on the Tigers, who are favored by 1.5. Brian Kelly and the boys favored at home against the number 7 team in the country. Jameson, what's going on here?
I have no idea. I can't get a good read on Ole Miss. I thought that they're a pretty quality team, but it just seems like they're just toying around with a lot of teams and just aren't getting away. And what LSU did last week was, eye-opening. I'm going to go. I can't. This one is so hard for me. I keep going back and forth. I'm just going to go LSU here and hope for the best.
Okay, wow. Gotcha. Blake, who do you got?
I am all on the Tigers here. I am all on the board that Ole Miss has not played anybody. That's like, if you look at their schedule with their ranking and how much hype they're getting right now, they haven't been tested a single time. Their best win is versus a Kentucky team, which we cover about weekly about how overrated that Kentucky team is. I know they'll get some quality wins, yada, yada, yada. They're really not dynamic, and they barely won that game. They toyed around with Vanderbilt. They toyed around with Auburn. And even Tulsa, like, they just allowed Tulsa to gash them in the second half. Like, there's nothing I trust about this Ole Miss team. They haven't been tested yet. LSU, not, I guess, like, they played some good opponents. They got the doors blown off of them by Tennessee, but we saw that Tennessee offense in motion last week. Like, they're just that damn good. I think Vegas knows something here. It's hard to come into LSU and win. I'm taking this dirty line. It's so dirty, but give me the Tigers.
Okay, I very much remember that that Tulsa game with Ole Miss, because you actually spent some time saying that it wasn't actually that close and that Ole Miss won convincingly. So little bit of maybe revisionist history here.
No, it wasn't. Like, it was close in the end. They were up 35-17 at half, but they allowed Tulsa to move the ball on them. Like, I can't trust this defense versus a decent opponent like LSU. Like, they just haven't played any. The Vandy, Auburn, like, those aren't good teams at all. The SEC's so overrated this year. So overrated.
Fair with that. So, Ty, you're up next. Who do you like here?
So the last game we picked was UCLA versus Oregon. And Mr. Boat Blake picked against UCLA because they were too one-dimensional with their quarterback. LSU is entirely reliant on their quarterback. Their leading rusher, who only has 403 yards 8 weeks into the season, is their quarterback. I don't know how much more one-dimensional through your quarterback you can be. And I've created a quick depiction here for our viewers. This is a little one-dimensional man. Okay, he's very easy to destroy because he is only one-dimensional. I just ripped a post-it note with a stick man on it for the listeners. With that being said, Ole Miss, I love this one. I would try to get Bobby to move the line to Ole Miss, +2, which is what it is currently at. It's continues to move around. Again, we're recording on Wednesday, but I like Ole Miss in this one. LSU, like I said, very one-dimensional. Ole Miss has had some trouble with missed tackles this season, which does frighten me when you're playing a really good quarterback who is a true dual threat. But Ole Miss does a really, really good job controlling the run. And again, if we're talking about a team that is already one-dimensional through their quarterback, if they can lock down that run game, I really, really like the Rebels in this one. And then another key thing, I think it's going to come down close because, again, I'm taking Ole Miss plus 1.5. Ole Miss is third in the nation on converting third downs. That is a crucial stat. Ole Miss is very highly ranked in their own ability to run. I forgot to write down the stat apparently, but I included that in my notes. And then Ole Miss has been on a ferocious streak of forcing turnovers, and I think that is key. I think one of the reasons LSU is favored in this game is just because Ole Miss has been abysmal when they go to play LSU historically. Going back, I think almost 2 decades, they've only won like twice or something like that, maybe even less. So I really think that is what is driving this line in addition to the Rebels' sort of inconsistency this season. But I don't think LSU has really played anyone. They lost to Florida State. So give me the Rebels plus 1.5 in this one. I'm pretty confident in this.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think LSU being favored by 1.5 or now being favored at 2 is really weird to me. But the thing is, when you smell a rat, when you see that weird line, it's probably a rat. It's probably something weird going on. Because of that, I'm going to go with LSU minus 1.5 in Baton Rouge, in Death Valley. I just got a weird feeling about this. I don't like it. LSU obviously hasn't been great this season. So to see Vegas be pretty big on them, to have them favored by 1.5 against the number 7 team in the country, allegedly, I don't know. I don't like it. I think Lane Kiffin and his guys are about to get exposed in Baton Rouge. Give me LSU minus 1.5 here. But this is the most intriguing, trickiest line I think of the entire slate. So, all right, let's move on to Big 12 play. We've got the Kansas Jayhawks, who are now have 2 losses. The playoff dreams are probably over for KU. Heading down to Waco to take on the Baylor Bears. Bears favored by 7.5. Oh, I don't know how to feel about this one because, look, I love Kansas and I've been riding with them for a while, but you know what? Jameson was right on the money last week. With Jason being in, they just don't look like the same team. And, unfortunately, I think that's going to continue. And I'm going to go with Baylor minus 7.5 here. I think that Baylor team we saw against West Virginia, obviously not great, but I don't think that's the median team. I don't think that's the standard Baylor team. Because of that, I'm going to go Baylor to bounce back at home, get the win. I hate to say it. I hate to see it, but give me Baylor minus 7.5. Ty?
Baylor, big underperformance this season. I am known to just be terrible at predicting Baylor teams specifically, I guess. But even with that, I think Kansas, unfortunately, with the Bean Man, not to trigger Blake or Jameson here. Blake, I know you're only upset because Jameson backstabs the Bean Man. Whenever the Bean Man is not listening, Jameson will backstab him, but then in public, he will profess his love for the Bean Man to his face. But yeah, I think Kansas, unfortunately, is a Jayhawk with a broken wing without their starting quarterback, who we've now seen is pretty crucial to that offense. Although OU did let him put up 40-plus points with the Bean Man. But all that being said, I think Baylor has a big advantage in Waco. One thing to know about birds is that they can sort of sense the Earth's magnetic fields. And I think at Baylor and Waco specifically, the big silos, the Chip and Joanna silos just to the north of the stadium, are probably going to screw up the Jayhawks' sort of internal magnetic focus, or whatever you may call it. And I think that may interfere with the B-Man's accuracy if he cannot get an accurate fix on his location on the earth. Because, if you're trying to transport something, through the air, whether it be by airplane or whatever, you got to know where you're starting from, and where you're going. And I think the Baylor, Waco, Chip and Joanna silos specifically, being large metal, will interfere with that.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Blake, who do you got?
I'm going to back the Bears, too, and it just shows, Kansas, the thing is, this game's going to be weird, because really, we don't know, I still don't know what this Baylor team is. They've had some confusing losses, like BYU. I don't think this BYU team is really that good anymore. The OSU one, they were always trying to fight back, and then West Virginia, it was kind of a Blake Shapen thing, but just blew it towards the end, and we're sitting here, and we have a 3-3 Baylor team, which I still think is good. I don't know if that's just preseason bias still leaking into my mind, but I still think they're one of the better teams. But the one thing I do know is Kansas defense has just been horrendous. They've been allowing so much offense. Basically everybody except Tennessee Tech and Iowa State has shredded them, but Iowa State kept it close. That's the thing. They're really not that bad, but yeah, it's just Kansas defense is not sustainable, that teams are going to score against them, and the Bean Man, even if he has a great performance, it only takes one bad one for a team just to blow him out. So I hate this, but I'm going to take, I guess, Baylor, the 7.5. I hate that hook. We had so many hooks last week, and they just screwed us. So
yeah, this feels like a screwy hook. Jameson, are you going to back your Jayhawks? I know you've rode with them for a while, stabbed them in the back, including the Bean Man, but it worked for you. Are you going to go back to the well or go with the Baylor Bears?
I'm going with Baylor. I understand that game where West Virginia just completely took their defense for a ride is a little bit concerning. That Kansas defense just doesn't impress me much either. I think there's going to be a lot of points again in this game, no matter what quarterback we get for Baylor. I really like that backup for Baylor too. I think Baylor takes this and covers.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. By the way, definitely screwed up. There's another non-Big 12 game in here. It's the Minnesota Golden Gophers versus the Penn State Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lions are fresh off an absolute beat down at the Big House, but are favored by 5 against the Gophers. Jameson, who do you like? PJ Flex squad, or do you like James Franklin to come back and get a win and a cover?
I was hoping to do this one at the end because my analysis probably might be similar to other people. But once y'all hear it, y'all are going to want to follow me. I understand there's some talk about Sean Clifford getting benched, and he got benched a little bit in that game versus Michigan. But Michigan's a really damn good football team, like really good. So let's not read too much into that. This is at Penn State. This is at home, like I said, and it's at 6:30. That's all I need to know. Give me Penn State to cover.
Blake?
Jameson basically took the analysis out of my mouth. I'm just seeing this Michigan game last week. Penn State, good, not great, but Minnesota, like Mo Ibrahim, really good running back, but it really worries me, like when you can't put up rushing yards against Purdue, and even last week versus Illinois wasn't as like big, like a one-dimensional team like that. That's kind of the theme this week. Really worries me against if Drew Lar comes in for Penn State, it's game over. I think it's so stupid to think that college coaches can't see this obvious moves where like Sean Clifford hasn't been the guy for 3 or 4 years. I feel like since the inception of this podcast, we've been on Sean Clifford's case saying he's not that good of a quarterback, and you have this dynamic guy in Drew Lar sitting right behind him. This would be the perfect game to bring him out against a good opponent. Not great, but I just think Penn State's running game, even then, can lead them to a win. I just can't see Minnesota coming in and beating Penn State on the road. So,
fair enough. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I don't want it to seem like I'm just copying takes here, but yeah, but Penn State at night was really as far as I needed to see. The thing you need to know about the Big Ten is it's a very tiered conference, and Penn State thinks they're at the top tier. They're not. That's how we knew to just slam them to be destroyed last week. If you knew what was up in the Big Ten, but in this one, we're talking about teams of equal, maybe even unequal tiers, and I think Penn State is on top of that one. I like -5 as a line, and I like Penn State to sort of bounce back. You know, they've been pushed around by the bully last week, and now as they're walking home, they've run into the kids 2 grades down, and they're about to take out their anger on them at night. And wherever Penn State plays, I think, I don't know.
I kind of like. Fair enough. I kind of like how Jameson had thought the original idea and analysis was, oh yeah, Penn State at home is scary because they are, and they're good, and like we kind of mentioned last week, they just aren't the same on the road without the whiteout, and they're bad on the road in like places like the Big House and the Shoe. They're going to get it done. I think they take care of a Minnesota team that started off hot but has been iffy ever since. Give me the Nittany Lions to cover 5 here. So next up, do we want to save Hawaii, Colorado for the end, or are we trying to do it now?
Sure, let's save it.
Let's save it. Let's go back to the Big 12 action. All right, we got West Virginia and Texas Tech. This is the John Denver Bowl, if you know what I mean. So Red Raiders favored by 7 at home. And frankly, I kind of like it here. I'm going to go with Texas Tech to cover 7. Cactus Gang gets a win over a Big 12 team that has been inconsistent, not quite the same team, on the road as they are at home. And, look, I think this Texas Tech team has a lot of kind of feel good vibes if you're not Blake. And, I don't know how many wins they have left in them, but I think
feel
this
good
is one
vibes.
for them.
They're 3-3. Like, this is a total Tech fan take. They're like, they came into the season all in my mentions how they're gonna go 12-0, and then now it's the feel good story. We had all this adversity going into the season, and
I'm not a Tech fan.
Yeah, but you're just being a mouthpiece for them, Bobby. That's what we all know it. Yes.
For Texas Tech, no, they beat Texas. They beat Houston. That's fun. Dude,
it's just so ridiculous. Like, this is you want to talk about an emotional hedge. Actually, this is an emotional hedge.
It's not an emotional hedge.
That. It's just a lie. It's Tech fans lying to themselves because they came into the season saying they had these high expectations, and now it's just a feel-good, warm, fuzzy story, Coach McGuire's really doing the best he can with the third-string quarterback. It doesn't matter which quarterback they play. They're a mid team. It's mid. It's a mid product that they're putting out in Lubbock. I'm just tired of it. Like,
I'm
it's
not
just
saying they're going to beat the 85 Bears. I'm saying they're going to beat a kind of really not great West Virginia team.
The team they're playing is also 3-3, Blake.
Yeah, they're
I'm not saying
teams.
I'm not saying the pick is bad. I'm just saying you're like, oh, the warm and fuzziness of this team. What is warm and fuzzy about 3-3? What?
Because I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they are. They had a really tough, non-conference.
They literally expected them to be incredible this year. That's all I saw on my Twitter feed all summer.
Okay, there's a total difference between irrational Texas Tech fans on the internet and
They all are. They all are.
Night, I think.
They signed up for 4 years in Lubbock. They are. They're all like that, Bobby. I haven't found a rational one yet.
But not all of us are irrational Texas Tech fans. Most of us are not Texas Tech fans.
So you are a Texas Tech fan.
No, you can't compare me to them because I didn't think they'd be good. No, I'm just saying I feel like they're good vibes. I'm reading good vibes in Lubbock right now, and I feel like that's enough to get them the edge to beat West Virginia, who I don't think is that great. I think West Virginia is a team that feeds off the home energy and kind of has and that weird I don't know, Thursday weekday energy. I feel like that dissipates on Saturdays. They're a Thursday team. Because of that, I'm going to go with Texas Tech. Ty?
Blake, who do you have in this one?
I did have Tech, but I'm switching it to West Virginia. Screw Bobby. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the feel good, whatever Bobby's trying to conjure up in his mind as a storyline. When all I heard with that Tech fan energy this year was, "Oh, we're gonna be so great. Oh, it's gonna look incredible." What has looked incredible this year? You beaten up on a bad
and Texas and
Houston
Texas.
In Texas, without Quinn Ewers. That's all you can hang your hat on. I'm sorry, Tech fans, you're mid. You've always been mid, and this is just a repackaged way of mid.
They've lost the past 2 games on the road. They played Oklahoma State close. Lost by 10. A very good Oklahoma State team. They lost to Kansas State on the road by 9. So it's not exactly like they've been getting blown out. It's not like a 3-3 where everything looks bad. Their 3-3 arguably looked better than OU's 3-3 last week. So my thing is they've been competitive. They played NC State decently well until NC State pulled away. So my thing is they are playing pretty good for how we all
They don't
kind of
see it that way, Bobby. They came into the season all high and mighty.
I'm not talking about them.
You're trying to rationalize them.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about the energy there. They like it. They're happy.
Bobby, the energy of Texas Tech is going off of their fans, not us podcasting on a Wednesday night. Yes, it does.
The energy is still there. Just because it's not justified in your eyes doesn't mean they're not going to be screaming their ass off at Jones AT&T Stadium at 2:00 next Saturday.
Energy's gone. They're not making a bowl. Worse record than last year. I'm calling it here. Give me the Mountaineers.
We just forgot about Ty's pick.
No. That was total strategy. Yeah, no, Jameson knows. But also, I didn't want to interrupt just that amazing chemistry that you guys had there. I really don't understand Blake's ending point because the buy-in and the vibe on the team is what matters. I don't understand your thing.
What are they buying into? They're going to end up with the worst record this year. What are you buying into? You bought into a Ponzi scheme?
Specifically, though, you're
why is the buy-in higher against West Virginia? What are these buys?
They know they can
because they don't care about 3-3. They're going to show up anyways.
All right, so here's some serious analysis, right? Tech they have that win against Texas that is just inexplicable. It's sort of a fluke, but in Tech's wins, besides Murray State, they haven't really pulled away from anyone, which is what worries me.
Amen.
Houston, they won by 3 against Houston, Dana Holgerson coach team versus a Dana Holgerson built system still at West Virginia. So I don't know. And then, Texas, obviously they didn't pull away from Texas, but I'm not going to knock them for that. That was an impressive win for this team either way. I really don't know. That's why I tried to pull some strategy and use Blake's emotional buy-in against him to get him to sort of reveal his hand, but it hasn't really helped me either way. I hate to say it, but I got to go with Tech here. That was my original pick, but I just feel like I don't know. That win against Texas, I feel like Tech maybe has a higher ceiling. That's a Blake buzzword that he likes to use a lot. I think Tech maybe has a higher ceiling than West Virginia. West Virginia, I don't know, but I've been burned on a lot of West Virginia picks this year. But give me the Red Raiders -7 at home. Cactus Gang is going to deflate the Mountaineers by poking them. That's how that analogy works with their spike. And they are going to deflate Blake's joy. I can't describe his feelings right now because I don't feel them, and I generally lack empathy anyways. So, James.
All right. I'm picking it's going to be a push. This is going to be a push straight up. I'm putting it out into the...
Jameson has found a way to pick both teams. Really?
And
I mean, I guess.
Doesn't even matter what I pick.
I guess.
Doesn't even matter what I pick. Screw it. I'll join Blake so he isn't an island boy and pick West Virginia, but it's pushing.
Jameson rolled up to the to the roulette board and picked green. Picked the 0.
That's a
Love
good
it.
pick.
It's a good pick. All right, let's move on to kind of the hate bowl. It's Red River versus Bedlam. Texas on the road, taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They're favored by 6.5 points at home. Or sorry, not at home, on the road. Oklahoma State, home dog here, Jameson. How do you feel about this? Do you think OSU is being disrespected here?
My brain hurts. It really hurts because I have been dogging on OSU's defense since in their just whole system in the offseason, and then I reverse hedged it and ended up working out. But now they've got their first loss this season. But now let's turn around. I said Texas wasn't as good as the whole media thought they were. Screwed around and a couple things don't go their way. Iowa State wins that game. They don't. Xavier Hutchinson. Is that his name? Hutchinson? Yeah.
Xavier
completely
Worthy.
forgot it. No, that's Texas. I'm
Different
thinking of the Iowa State wide receiver. And I'm pretty sure it's Xavier Hutchinson. Whatever.
Maybe.
We're last night podcast. We've always been. I know it's Hutchinson. So he drops an obvious touchdown at the very end. And then that fumble on the 40-yard line, 35-yard line. I understand I can play the what if game, but what I'm trying to say is Texas ain't as much as we think they are. 6.5 too many points for me. Oklahoma State keeps it close. This will be a good game, but I can't take Texas by a touchdown here. I'm going to go Oklahoma State.
Blake, who you got?
Oh, this one's gross. It's just like the number leans one way. Like it's another rat line, but I think I've kind of stuck with this theme all season. And whenever I think I'm like, how is this number possible? I just go with the weird angle, and I'm just gonna go Texas because I will stand by that. Bad take maybe last week that Texas was a playoff caliber team. But
You don't say.
But this is a hedge right here. Look ahead spot maybe for them. They were just looking ahead to this game, and that is how we're going to explain that take last week. But
why would they look ahead to Oklahoma State? Come on, Texas has too much arrogance.
Because Oklahoma State, because they're easily one of the contenders for the Big 12 championship. Like Texas right now is playing to get to Arlington, and Oklahoma State is one of their biggest threats. Just because last week going into it undefeated, they're gonna have to win. They're gonna have to win this game to make it to Arlington.
Logistically, but I feel like look-ahead games are always those sexy games with the big-name opponents. You know, like the Texas and Oklahomas are look-ahead because everyone's got a vendetta versus them. There's really no true vendetta. I understand Oklahoma State's obviously a threat to them if you're thinking logistically, but we're talking about college kids here.
Yeah,
I just don't think this was a look
I think you just described a good look-ahead spot, like an Iowa State team that had lost a lot of games, kind of overlooked them, This is a big matchup, especially if OSU would have won last weekend. This the been game day.
Here's the thing, though. Texas is always looking ahead to the next time the next time they play an SEC school or the next time they play OU. They're overlooking everybody in the Big 12. They do this every year.
And it does worry me. I feel like Gundy has just Texas's number. Always, even in a bad spot, just can throw just throw a performance out there that you're like, oh dang, like OSU kept it close. But I'm just gonna go weird number. It's a purely number play here. Not super confident in it, but give me Texas.
Gotcha. Ty, who do you got?
I love how Texas had a really down performance against Iowa State last week. And the only thing that anyone can conjure up as a potential cause of that is that they were looking ahead to Oklahoma State and not the fact that ACL was in Austin last week. And it was almost definitely all of the players looking to blow NIL money on all sorts of stuff there. And Sark perhaps enjoying Sark's favorite drink.
Okay.
Which is water. You got to remain hydrated at festivals. Turn it back to the very first podcast of the season. I said my number one game day drink was water because you got to stay hydrated. Run the receipts. It's on you guys are the bad ones for thinking that I meant anything else than that. Shame on you. All of that being said, I have the Cowboys in this one. I know Spencer Sanders, there's been some questions about his shoulder. I saw that Mike Gundy was sort of being cryptic about that in the best way that he can as Mike Gundy. But I like the Cowboys in this one. I understand they dropped it. They fumbled it against TCU in that overtime game. But I really think that is what we're going to be seeing in Arlington, Texas, come Big 12 championship. I think we're going to see a rematch of that one. And I kind of hope we do, because that was such a good game. And I would love to see that one as these teams develop through the season, hopefully with no injuries on either side. But I like Oklahoma State keeping this one close. So with Texas favored by a touchdown to win it, I kind of got to go with the Cowboys here. Texas, I just don't know what to expect from them. They're sort of the most I don't know product in the Big 12 right now for me. I don't know if that's just an OU fan thing because one, I value Bama so much personally. And that one, who knows with that one. And then obviously an OU fan dealing with Red River this year. I was shook. I thought Texas was really, really good. I said that in the past couple episodes. So I don't know, but I like the Cowboys in this one. So give me Oklahoma State plus 6.5.
Yeah, we'll make Blake an island boy here because I also like Oklahoma State here a lot. I feel like they've been, I think, they've won their past 13 home games, something like that. They have a really, really good home winning streak. It's homecoming for them, so that always brings a different energy. And everybody in the Big 12 freaking hates Texas. So not only that, I think Oklahoma State is a better team than Texas. I feel like they've looked better. I feel like even though they lost to TCU, they showed me a lot in that game, getting up early, playing well. That makes me think that this is a team that can really, really, take it the distance and possibly win the Big 12. And Texas, on the other hand, went out and flat out should have lost Iowa State. There was a targeting call that didn't go. That one targeting call, goes Iowa State's way. This game is we're not looking at a 6.5 point dog Oklahoma State. I'll tell you that. I think Texas feels a little bit fraudy. I think people are too big on them after their blowout of OU, a bad OU. And because of that, I'm going Oklahoma State plus 6.5 at home. Love a home dog Cowboy here. So, yeah, let's move on to, I guess the game of the week. We kind of put TCU in this slot.
Oof, that number's wrong.
What is this line?
You know which side I'm taking.
TCU. Give me
yeah,
TCU
that's
plus
a
6.5 right now.
that is a Canva error right there. My goodness. So let's go ahead.
Easiest line.
Let's go ahead and move to the actual game of the week. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors heading to Colorado State. We called a mid-show audible. The Rams favored by 5 here. Oh, this is so gross.
Give me some analysis. Give me some good analysis here.
Both of these teams are ass. Hawaii, even on island, is ass. We have talked about that in in-depth analysis. Colorado, on the other hand, they don't go to Hawaii, but they are also ass. I believe their only win was against Nevada, who is also, believe it or not, ass. This game is really, It's disgusting. I hate it, but at the same time, I kind of love that we're picking it. I'm going to go with the Colorado State Rams, and I hate it, but this is how much I really despise Hawaii. And I think I don't know. I don't really have a ton of analysis. Maybe the altitude gets to Hawaii. They are Hawaii are island boys, and the islands are close to water. However, in Colorado, you're up high, and therefore the air is hard to breathe. So that's my analysis. I'm going to go with the Colorado State Rams to cover 5 here. And also, this is like a 2:00 kickoff. So in Hawaii, it's going to be like a morning game. So there'll be some weird time stuff going on there. So give me Colorado State -5. I don't have any, I'm not strong on this. I just hate Hawaii that much. So yeah, Ty, who do you got here?
Bobby with an unbelievable bag fumble on his slate tampering. Bobby has been tampering with the order of this slate all podcast. And now we have thrown the game that Jameson wanted on the slate that we all did vote on. But this one was going to be Jameson picking first and spilling all of his analysis. And now Bobby has positioned him dead last for the game that he requested and forced himself to go first, putting himself at an extreme disadvantage here for no explainable reason, which is amazing.
There is no analysis with Hawaii, Colorado State, though. They're two pieces of crap running at each other.
I guarantee the second I finish speaking, both of these guys that are following me are going to weirdly have actual analysis for this game. So I will keep myself short. I didn't know that we were even picking this one. As you saw earlier in the podcast, I voted yes for strategic reasons, just to throw a curveball at Jameson. I did not at all think about the fact that it was also curveballing myself, as I had actual analysis for the game that we removed. But I pulled up ESPN, Hawaii, more points per game, Hawaii, more yards per game, and also more yards allowed. I don't know. Give me the Rainbow Warriors against the Colorado State Rams in this one. It's the Battle of the Greens. I do think that the altitude may affect the Rainbow Warriors a bit, and the time zone maybe also. Who knows about the weather? Maybe the weather, but altitude would be more of a climate thing. So give me Hawaii +5 because I like that they score more points per game and they're the underdogs. So I think that they can lose by 5 or less.
Fair enough. Blake, who do you like here?
Yeah, we cannot stress this enough how bad these two teams are. So I had a nice bet on the Colorado State money line, a decent dog whenever they played Nevada and won that game. And it took, I think, a defensive holding penalty on a field goal kick for the game winner, which the Colorado kicker shanked to then move them 5 yards forward to then make the game-winning field goal. That is how bad Colorado State is. And then if you look on the other side to Hawaii's only 2 wins. They blew out Nevada on island, beat Duquesne, but basically anything off island has sucked. Oh, this is dirty. Colorado State, I'm a Jay Norvell guy. Big Jay Norvell guy after last year, Nevada. Yeah. Yeah.
Just say it.
It's a pick. The Rams, I guess. -5. It's so gross. This game's gonna win on this.
It's so bad. It is so bad.
A 5-point line, too, is just gross in the sense it really doesn't matter. I think between, 3.5 to 5.5, it really doesn't matter, but it's just, how do you power rate these teams? How did Vegas, look at this and was just you know what? 5-point favorites. Colorado State, team that won 1 game on a fluke. It's gross.
It's so
bad. Gross. But it's honestly better. I like choosing this better than whatever that 21, 24-point spread.
Gross.
Bobby being kind of big ESPN right there. It's a ranked matchup. Yeah, see, there we go. Like I said, listeners, the sheep just eating out of his hand. Like,
I like how you knew exactly the ESPN chip in Bobby's head kicked in with talking points as soon as you said it. He had embedded talking points in his brain.
I will say I've been starting to feel a sharp pain in my head ever since putting this game on the stage.
it's a ranked matchup.
It is. That's
theoretically
usually
it
what
is,
we
but
do you want me? What? I send over the slate every week, and I'm like, hey, what do what do you guys like?
and I said I am irrationally angry that I have to choose Alabama.
Irrational.
He has you
okay.
there. He has you again. Does Blake know the definition of words? I propose no.
I will say this: I've given multiple inputs on things in the slate, and none of them have ever been included. So I don't think we have much power with input when Bobby's like, "Oh, here's the slate this week." I don't think we've ever changed a single thing for what Bobby sends initially.
I feel like
I tried to put on Boko Appalachian State, and he got too scared. And
We
he
are
knew deep down
actively
Boko was going to
picking-
kick Yosef's ass.
We are actively picking a game that you brought up, Jameson. You cannot join in on this complaint about Bobby not picking.
And wasn't this
I
great?
did it.
I'm having
I
so
made
much
this
fun.
graphic
I-
mid-show for you.
I'm actually a little bit mad
For
that
Jameson.
Jameson speaks up once and gets his way, but I speak up all the time about double wild cards, trying to introduce some new concepts to bring in, and I get railroaded on every single one of
I
mine.
love
But
double
Jameson
wild
mid-show
cards.
mentions it.
Other people. Other
Who
people
are these
get
other
more fans.
people? I don't think Ty or...
Jameson is the only one against double wild cards.
Anyways, Jameson, what did you think about this one?
I don't know why y'all think I have some like epic analysis of this, that I'm like playing the long game with y'all. No, I just think it's extremely funny that the two worst teams pretty much in college football are playing each other. And here's my analysis that I've developed in the past 5 minutes as everyone's been arguing. Hawaii off island and on island is obviously a very big conversation point. But there's also a little bit that you have to take into account of Hawaii likes to play these California teams, and whenever that's off island, it's still a little bit close. They kept the San Diego State game, decently close. But let's talk about their games where they were off island but way too far away. Let's talk about Michigan. That's, Michigan's really good, obviously beating them by 46. But New Mexico State. They went to New Mexico State and lost by 19. 19 to New Mexico State. And I understand New Mexico State burned me last week. I understand that, and I've got a vendetta versus them. They're turning into the new Wyoming this year. But come on now. Colorado State just as bad, but I'm betting against Hawaii. It's too far from the islands. 9 a.m. game Hawaii time. Give me the Rams.
Fair enough. Let's move on to
Wait, I know Bobby's going to get really mad that I'm bringing something back up for this game and just wants to move on. But, a classic vintage logo for all the YouTube listeners. What's going on with this Ram right here? Why is it so... this was Colorado State's logo at one point, and why is it so,
What is that?
Voluptuous.
Why? Yeah.
What is that pose? Is it trying to be sensual?
So
the Rams getting some big TDs, isn't he?
It is something that I was baffled when I saw, and so just subscribe to the YouTube so you can see the visual that we just gave. A weird vintage logo, but yes.
All right,
we are back in Colorado. Back Colorado State.
Yeah, back book. The caption, booksome. That's great. That is a booksome Ram. But let's move on to Kansas State. Heading to Funky Town to take on TCU. Frogs favored by a nice tree fitty here, Jameson. Who do you like?
Yeah, this one's been tough for me because I think K-State could kind of squeak around here and make it close after a very emotional win with TCU. But I just think that K-State's shown too many cracks in their team since that Oklahoma win. That Iowa State game just is so prominent on my mind. Kansas State's supposed to just control the game, and I understand Iowa State keeps things sloppy. But 10 points, man, TCU's offense is too good. I just don't think K-State can keep it within 3.5. I'm going to go TCU.
Blake?
Yeah, I've been doing it every week, and it hasn't failed me yet. I'm back in the Frogs, and it
failed us last week.
It failed us last week, but I really didn't care. I'm like, so what? I missed a 3.5. We won by 3 in overtime, in one of the greatest comebacks of all time. That one really doesn't matter to me, but look, K-State is the most fortunate team this year. The fact that Tulane has somehow become one of the best teams in the American, and theoretically, like, if they continue on this run, could be in a New Year's Six bowl just by, like, they got so damn lucky that this Tulane team actually ended up being good, and that being not like an excusable loss, but it looks a lot worse than when they were 17-point favorites and lost to them at home. So, but look, K-State's one-dimensional. They can only run the ball. Adrian Martinez cannot throw. I pray to God, just sell out for the run and make Adrian Martinez beat you in the passing game. It is so damn easy.
That's what Oklahoma said.
And why has nobody done it yet?
Oklahoma tried, and Adrian Martinez had the game of his career.
I know, that's the thing. So you just gotta hope that doesn't happen again, because, like, Adrian Martinez there, y'all would get him in 3rd and 12, and he's just doing, like, jump passes for 15 yards to, like, a wide-open receiver, and you're like, what the heck? Like, how is this working? But you just gotta limit the runs. They don't really have the big play threat, which has been, like, my worries against, like, a OU, a Tech, or a OSU and Kansas, like, that are just gonna beat you over the top. But just gotta they have a solid defense, just gotta establish it early. We saw it last week. The offense did not click on the first 2 drives. It killed us because OSU burned us, and we had to have a miracle game to win that one. So establish the offense early, sell out for the run, make Adrian Martinez beat you. If Adrian Martinez posts another 400, 500-yard game against us, and that's how we lose, like, that's gonna effing suck. But, like, if you're gonna get beat by K-State, at least make it that way. Like, don't let Deuce Vaughn just run for 300 yards. So give me the Frogs.
All right, Blake, by the way, I already know how TCU is their season's going to go. They're going to have 1 loss, and it's going to be to Texas Tech, and they're going to miss the playoff because they lost to Tech at home. If that happened, what would you do?
I would jump. Like, it's one of those scenarios. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I am very happy right now. Like, TCU, like, I came into this season 6-6, like, and so everything now has just been awesome. And even if, like, it's like 11-1, we lose to Texas on the road, and, like, that's kind of the reason why, like, I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't think I would survive if it was Tech. I would not. Like, I will say that now. Like, I try not to get my hopes up too much, but if we go 11-1, miss out on the playoff because it's the Tech loss, like,
because of Cactus King.
I don't think I could watch college football ever again. Like, that would kill me so much.
Just abandon the sport.
Because I've already gone through this kinda with Baylor back in 2014 and that whole debacle, but at least I respected Baylor. Baylor was good, and so it's like I could respect that. It's like we lost by 3, we blew a huge lead in the 4th quarter, and like that will always sting in that car ride back home, but like at least it was like, okay, 3 points is home advantage. We're basically even on a neutral field in that game. Like, I could come home to that. I cannot come home to the fact that Texas Tech ruined my college football playoff. I will say that now. Like, if we go 11-1 and Texas Tech is our 1 loss, I will never watch college football ever again. I will not. Like, that will kill me.
We need to clip that. But Ty, who do you have in this game?
I will say if TCU lost to Tech, missed the playoff, and then that nightmare scenario of Bama winning the West, beating Georgia, and then Bama, Georgia, and Tennessee all being in the playoff, Blake actually would literally never watch college football again. So
yes, I agree.
Anything is possible. Also, still not too late for TCU to go 6-6. But I don't think it's going to happen. I like the Horned Frogs in this one. I think they are a bit more complete, although you could make the argument that offensively Kansas State is a much more complete team in the Adrian Martinez, Deuce Vaughn threat, not just being a just Max Duggan show. But I like the Horned Frogs in this one. I think they have built tremendous momentum, and I think that's going to be key. TCU doesn't strike me as a team, at least in this game, that's going to really rest on their laurels or perhaps look ahead. They've been through an absolute gauntlet if you look at their schedule, and they have performed exceedingly well in each game. I really don't think there's even going to be a hangover from the Oklahoma State game, which is going to be shocking. I think if TCU drops a game at all, it's going to be that Iowa State one. Blake's been hedging against Iowa State all season, and TCU won't know how to act going into a Big 12 championship game, and they're going to be looking ahead if they continue undefeated or maybe one loss through that. So with all that being said, give me the Horned Frogs minus Tree Fitty here in the Battle of the Perp.
And also, I need to make the podcast aware. I know Bobby hates when I go on little rants and tangents, but I have to put in all my vacation days for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And so I've had to come to the terms, and I have to do it by the end of the week. Do I expect TCU to be in the college football playoff? Because if I do, I need to be using vacation days before the college football playoff and not in other times. And so I am having to deal with that debacle right now. And I know, I can't commit. I have to commit to it at some point. So by next week, y'all will know if I've committed to TCU making the college football playoff.
You said you're already taking New Year's off, right?
But I think New Year's is on a weekend. But if we made it to one of those bowls, I would want to take off time before to fly.
It's a Saturday.
The Fiesta and the Peach are the Fiesta and the Peach are both on Saturday, December 31st. So that'd be helpful, I guess. So either going to Atlanta or Phoenix for you there. But hey, let's not jinx TCU here.
It's actually that's the problem. I'm the moment I say I need an extra day, I jinx it. But same thing with Big 12 tickets. It's been a constant calculus in my head. That's kind of been ruining
fine with
my
the Big 12 tickets because the university divvies them out. You're a season ticket holder.
What? I'm probably gonna buy those tickets, and regardless of the two teams that are gonna be there, I'm gonna be firmly in my seat with this hat on, supporting the shield. So
I might join you. That sounds fun. I don't know. But anyways, even though OU is clearly not making it, could be fun.
You're going to be supporting the Shield by supporting Josh Heupel in his rematch against Bama.
Different one. I'm just gonna boo both sides. It'll be great. But anyways, let's. So I got TCU here. I think they're a very, very solid team, very disciplined team. K-State has, as Blake mentioned, has kind of been skating by. That last minute, 1 point win to Iowa State was not encouraging, but I feel like they're a good team. This is going to be a really good game, but I like TCU at home here. I really do. So I don't think we see any semblance of a hangover, any issue like that. But I would like to make one last note before we move on from TCU. That Texas Tech game is on November 5th. So
I know.
Oh yeah, Blake, know.
Yep, I already know.
Oh, so. So if it goes bad, it's going to go real bad. So
Yep.
Anyways, let's move on to my favorite pick of the week.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, guys, I can't stop this fast!
All right, I'm going to kick this thing off, and frankly, I do not understand this line. It makes no sense to me, and I am truly baffled by it. And I'm going to just go ahead and take it. I'm going to eat it up because I love it. Cincinnati -3.5 at SMU. Cincy has been, kind of flying under the radar since their loss at Arkansas. They've been putting up good results, solid results. Meanwhile, SMU has been one of the worst teams against the spread in college football. So to me, 3.5 seems easy to me. Gerald Ford Stadium, I don't imagine will be that packed, that pumped for anything. There'll probably be a solid Cincy contingent in there. So give me Cincy -3.5. I think that seems smooth to me. I know the hook is scary, whatever. I just don't see what Vegas really is valuing in SMU here at all. So, Ty?
This one was a game time decision for me. I had two that I was looking at, and both of them are nasty. So I'm going to tease both of them, and then I'm going to lead into the one that I picked. The first one I was looking at, a hated team on this podcast against another hated team on this podcast, San Diego State versus Nevada. a terrible, terrible -7 line. The second one, equally as nasty. Texas A&M -3 going to South Carolina. The Spencer Rattler experience. Which one do I want to take? And ultimately, it came down to I got to stick with my original one, which was Texas A&M, South Carolina. Texas A&M, you'd think they're good, right? You'd think they're kind of underperforming. They're 3-3. They've been bad. They beat Sam Houston 31-0. They lost to an App State team that lost to Boco. They beat Miami barely. They beat Arkansas barely. Arkansas is not good. They lost to Mississippi State and they lost to Bama. Their loss to Bama was their best game of the year. Quality loss? I don't know. Meanwhile, over at South Carolina, the Coach Beamer, Spencer Rattler experience. I hate this because I love Coach Beamer. I want him to be successful, but Spencer Rattler is good old Spencer Rattler. He has 8 interceptions and 5 touchdowns this year. And for that reason, I'm going to have to continue to kick the old quarterback when he's down and take the Aggies -3 on the road against the real USC to get the win. I think it's going to be a terrible, terrible, sloppy game. And this is a terrible excuse for an A&M team that has just been garbage and only shows up to play Bama where they lose. But give me Texas A&M. I think just pure star power is going to help them through, especially against a South Carolina team whose only hope is Spencer Rattler, who is better. I
just completely zoned out. That whole beginning of that analysis, you were talking crap on A&M and you're picking A&M?
I am. Well, it's sort of a hedge, but I do want to say, in conclusion,
hold up the sticky note, Ty. Hold it up for yourself.
Give me A&M -3 against South Carolina, but I do want it to be said on record that Spencer Rattler is 10 times the quarterback that Dylan Gabriel is, and OU would only be a 2-loss team, if not better, if we had Spencer Rattler, because at least he doesn't get injured all the time like Dylan Gabriel, and also he can complete a pass.
Fair enough. Blake, who do you got?
Get Bobby going.
Ooh.
Oh, Bobby. I'm sorry, my man. Second week in a row. But I got the SMU Stangs. -3 or 3.5, whatever line you're going to give me.
Yeah, you get the plus. You get the plus.
Oh, it's plus. Oh, yes. Perfect. The Stangs plus 3.5. And I should know this because I'm about to read you a nice stat. Luke Fickell is just 3-10 against the spread as a road favorite. SMU, I think, is getting a bad rap because they played a hard schedule. I think Maryland, I think UCF, I think TCU. We're talking about top 40 teams there. Great teams. Cincinnati. Oh, let's look. Oh, let's ponder into what Cincinnati's been doing. Oh, yes. Arkansas. That's a good one. Kennesaw State. About to be powerful, or about to be at least FBS.
FBS, yeah.
Miami of Ohio with the backup quarterback. Indiana. Like one of the worst Power 5 teams in the nation. Tulsa. And then USF. Ooh, Gary Bohannon going down with the season-ending injury. I don't like that. I think SMU has really good offense. I think, looking at the injury report, Cincinnati's beat up. They're beat up bad, Bobby. And they're going into Gerald Ford Stadium against an SMU team that I don't think is that bad. So give me those 3.5 points. I love it on the road for the Stangs.
They looked pretty crap against Navy.
Yeah, but the triple option gives everybody, like, the triple option gives everybody problems.
What's this? Why does my spreadsheet say that I took USC +3?
Because legitimately, I was typing in. You brought up the game, and I said he's obviously picking A&M. I type in A&M -3. Then you start dogging on how bad A&M's look, and I'm like, okay. He's talking about how he is Spencer Rattler supporting, and so I changed it to Cox +3. And now, if you need to update your spreadsheet, it will be updated because it's been like that for a while. You're just
I
on your
just
phone
hit
now.
update. I just hit update. It
I
still
love
says
how-
+3. This
I
is why
love-
Jameson is leading. He controls the spreadsheet along with Bobby. I just hit update. I will hit update live on the podcast here. And
I love how
oh wow, would you look at that? Still wrong.
Okay, I love how Ty. It's the one pick a week that you're allowed to be for sure. Like, you're in it, you get to choose it. And Ty somehow explains it in a way where he's like, we're choosing Alabama, Mississippi State. It's like, I don't know. Mississippi State has a good offense and but Alabama defense got ripped apart. Like, I don't know. Like, Ty explains it that way for the one pick a week that you are allowed to be 100% for sure that you know who's going to be the winner.
But I
Ty
don't.
also,
You
don't.
can barely.
That
you
is
can
true.
literally-
His
you
wild
can
card
barely
record
get
is
me-
not good.
You can
Is
barely
not
get
good.
me to watch OU games. Why in the world would I watch these random teams? So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm still beating Bobby. He watches it more than anyone. So I know, is there
No,
meat to that
that's not
argument? I
true.
don't know.
That's not true.
No,
Blake
yeah,
definitely
that
watches
is
more
true.
than me. Blake definitely watches more than me.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Jameson, who do you got?
Well, I'm so glad that you brought up the Alabama Mississippi State game. I'm glad that it's not on the slate. I'm kidding. Oh my God, Bobby was about to blow.
That would be the ultimate power move against me. Just the
That
fact
would
that I
be-
never get any recommendations, and then Jameson's just like, oh, I can.
All-time heel
It's
turn.
his little puppet master. Like, oh, I can get whatever I want. Like, but we already established Bobby's a sheep. Bobby
That would be
is a
targeting.
sheep.
You-
So.
Unbelievable targeting. I like how see Jameson the puppet master. I'm gonna call him out because I know that this is what he's about to do. He's about to be like, "No, I'm just kidding. That's not my wild card game." And then he's gonna pick a wild card game, and then he's gonna go, "But it is my pot of greed game."
And then go Alabama, Mississippi State for pot of greed. Oh, the script
I
writers
would-
couldn't do it any better.
I would never do that. I actually hate this spread. I do not like any of these this slate. I mean, I do not like any of them. So once again, like what I did last week, I'm trying to find a new team to adopt because I've learned that I'm better without Boko. When Boko, I stay away from them, they cover, and they've been doing really well, and they're at +2.5 at home this week. And I'm just going to stay far away from that. I'm going to let them do their thing, and hopefully they beat Southern Mississippi. Hey, Blake, I need some Thursday action, and guess what? Guess what team I'm going to pick this? It's an ugly game, and it's really nasty, but at 6:30, I'm tuning in. Scrappy Dogs, Georgia Tech versus Virginia, and boy, we are hopping on Georgia Tech -3.
Actually, love that. I love that pick. I am going to slam the money line all over that tomorrow. So I love that pick.
Georgia
give
Tech
you your
-3. It was an old, retro schooner pod of talking about how we loved Georgia Tech. And they're scrappy dogs. They always get into it. They got all that coach nonsense in their backseat now. They're at home. They can just look forward. And Virginia, not good. Not good at all. Give me -3. Georgia Tech on a Thursday for some extra fun.
But can they be scrappy dogs if they're not actually dogs?
Yes, they can, because this team has honestly turned it around ever since they fired their coach. Like, Jeff Collins gone. They've been doing good. I was looking at the schedule today, Jameson. I was like, Georgia Tech could make a bowl game. Like, I can see at least 5 wins on their schedule with an upset 6 wins. I love that pick. I hate gassing up Jameson, but I love that pick. I love it.
Also,
You know what,
never-
Georgia?
I will say it is a lesson. Never trust a man named Jeff who spells it Geoff. Like
You
Geoff.
don't trust a man that goes by a first name with a last name Y.
That's different. My name is not spelled Geoff. It's not Bobby. Like it's just straight up how it looks. Go ahead, Ty.
I was just gonna say that the thing about Georgia Tech that really gets them down is certainly it's got to hurt recruiting, right? And I'll just leave it at that. Georgia Tech has the worst male to female ratio of any university in the United States. Georgia Tech is over 70% male students. I do not understand how that happens in 2022, just by the way that college admissions work, but certainly that is hurting recruiting. So,
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. All right. That's all we got, right, Jameson? No pot of grape? No pot of grape?
No pot agreed for me. I'm going to continue to hold it.
He's leading. Why would he?
We are ending with this note. Remember that Bobby said the Lubbock and Texas Tech vibes are good, but he also said last year that a coach with a last name of Y in reference to Joey Maguire can never be good. So
I accidentally hate crimed against my fellow man with the last name of Y. I have since
Last
course
letter
corrected.
of their first name. Let me clarify that people don't know their
Last
joke.
letter of the first name. As a Bobby, a Joey, men who have names that are, some may consider childish. I stepped over the line. I apologize. And Joey Maguire, you're all right in my book. I'm sorry about that.
I cannot
good
believe
vibes.
that
Joseph.
Blake was able to reinforce his Bobby is a sheep take by getting Bobby to say that his name was childish by being influenced by a man who puts Bowton in his name willingly.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
I will say I got to see that clip of they're both ranked teams at the exact same time. That was genius.
We're
That was
clipping
gold.
it.
That was gold. Clip it. So, all right, that's all we got for this week. As always, thank you to our sponsors, DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure to check them out. Use promo code TPPN. We got a lot of really good stuff going down over there. So, anyways, that's all we got for this week. Again, we will see you next week when we talk about OU Iowa State. Okay, who's playing Feeding the Ducks?
We forgive you, DraftKings, for the Justin Herbert prop. We still love you.
Fair enough. Hey, there's
Hot
nothing
in
to
the
forgive.
streets. Hot in the streets
Hot in
right
the
now.
streets. Anyways, this is the weekend spread. Hope you all enjoyed it. For me, Jameson, Ty, and Blake, I hope you all have a great week. Good luck out there. Bye.